Welcome. Today we're going to talk about 5 things you can do for your brain. Think about it. Your brain's a pretty important thing. And we're going to say brain and mind. We'll kind of mix those two together. But I want you to think about what could you do to improve that? Well, a couple real simple things. One, call a friend. I know maybe that wasn't what you expected. But sometimes the best thing you can do for your brain is to talk to somebody. Call a friend and just say, hey, you got 5 minutes? I just want to shoot the bull and find out what's going on in your life. And it gives you the opportunity to share and discuss other things. And once you've done it a little while and you kind of get in a habit of that, venture into some new topics. Say, hey, did you see what was going on in the news? Or, I had this patient today who brought up that they do this kind of science, or they're a geologist or whatever. What do you think about that? Because when you talk to a friend or somebody you know, and you have the opportunity to communicate, many times what you're doing is expanding your brain. Instead of doing the same thing every day, talking about the same things with the same people, you expand what your brain thinks about. I especially love doing this right before I go to bed. 10, 15 minutes before I go to bed, I'll call one of my friends and say, hey, let's talk about this for a few minutes. And what happens when I wake up in the next morning, I usually am like, wow, we had a great talk. I learned all kinds of stuff. Because my brain had a chance to process that through the night and think about things that maybe not be in my normal daily life. 2, read. Now, in some of our health things, we've talked about some things you should do right before you go to bed, which are breathe. Have a few minutes of peace. I try to do that right before I do those things. I try to take a couple minutes and read, whether it be a journal or a book, or I try not to do it on my smartphone, because remember, looking at a smartphone or any type of electronics before you go to bed kind of screws up your brain waves for sleep. So I try to pull out an old-fashioned book or a journal, or, any of those types of things. Take 5 minutes and read, because once again, 5 minutes is better than no minutes. Most people say, I'm way too busy, I can't sit down and read for an hour. Don't read for an hour, read for 5 minutes. It's amazing what you can do when you do that and you think about it. And then you go to sleep, your brain has a chance to remember and process all those things. Next thing, and this kind of goes along with read. I want to have a goal. Here's your new goal for your personal life. I want you to learn one new thing every day. Just one new thing. It's amazing. I read this great story about Thomas Jefferson, and many of you know is one of the founders of our country. He used to do this every night when he sat down with his family, and he had a lot of kids. He used to say, I want you all to teach me one new thing that you learned today. And it was a great habit that he took, and he wrote down everything, and he kept it. It really became one of the foundations of learning. And we do that in our household too. We said, give me one new thing you learned today at school. I use it as one of my entrance lines for many of my patients. Especially my college kids, high school kids, elementary school, all the school kids. I said, tell me one new thing that you learned today. And if they hadn't learned something new, maybe I need to teach them something new. It helps me keep going with it. But I learned all kinds of interesting things that the kids have learned about today. And I think about that. Why should we as adults stop learning? Make a goal to learn one new thing every day. It's real simple. It's one of the first things I do in the morning when I do open my computers. I go to Wikipedia, or I go to one of the other channels. What one new thing could I learn today? It takes 2 minutes to learn it. It's a nice, simple, easy way to expand my brain. 4, some other things you do is enjoy the day. Now, I know this sounds maybe corny, but it's really true. But I want you to think about this. What good does being upset or being mad actually do? Absolutely nothing. It is wasted time that you can never get back. The only time you should ever be frustrated is maybe with yourself, and then you really have to take a different perspective from a philosophy perspective and say, you know what, I learned one great way not to do something, or one thing I should never do again. But there's just really no point ever being frustrated with yourself. Enjoy your day. You may not get another one. Last but not least is a puzzle. And this is a great thing to do today as well. This is one of those things that, especially my wife and I, a lot of times we'll do on Saturday or Sunday nights, is we sit down and we do a puzzle. We do Sudoku or a crossword puzzle or whatever. And many times we do it together. Not only is it a great way to kind of have some bonding with your wife or your spouse or your husband or your kids or whatever, but it's a great way to increase your mind and think a little bit differently in what you do every day. So I want you to repeat those real quick. So I want you to call a friend at some point in time today. Call somebody you know. Hey, you got 5 minutes? Number 2, I want you to read. And hopefully maybe you can read and learn one new thing today together. So read or learn one new thing, even if it's just 5 minutes. Next, enjoy the day. Remember, being in a bad mood never helps anybody. And last but not least, do a puzzle. Do something that's going to expand your mind just a little bit. So hopefully you'll learn a few things today, and hopefully you'll put some of them in practice, and you'll look back a week from now, a day from now, a month from now, and go, you know what? I like this new habit. It changed me for the better. Have a great day.